There's a moment in every season when the noise fades, the excuses disappear, and one decision exposes everything. This was one of those moments. It didn't sound real at first. It sounded manufactured. A clip that felt too absurd to be true, too detached from the reality of professional football. But it was real. And once the words landed, they didn't just spark debate, they ignited frustration that had been building all season long. The head coach explained why one of the simplest plays in football never gets called. Not because of timing. Not because of injury risk. But because of weight. Because of physics. Because the quarterback, in his mind, simply doesn't carry enough mass to move the pile forward. That explanation hit like a punch to the chest. Football has never been that simple. It never has been about inches on a scale or numbers on a roster sheet. The league is full of quarterbacks who are shorter, lighter, and smaller, and yet they've converted the same play without hesitation. Some slip through gaps. Some stretch forward. Some simply trust the push behind them. Different bodies, same result, first down. And that's where the confusion turns into anger. Because the roster doesn't lack options. A bigger, veteran quarterback stands right there on the sideline. Strong. Experienced. Built exactly like the coach claims is necessary. If size is the advantage, why isn't he stepping in for a single snap? One play. 1 yard. Then back to the sideline. Simple. Logical. Done. And if size isn't the real issue, then what is? Because there are other answers. You can push from behind. You can disguise it. You can sell play action. You can even line up a running back under center and let momentum do the rest. This league has proven, again and again, that short yardage success isn't about stubborn philosophy. It's about understanding your personnel and trusting them in the biggest moments. But instead, limitations were placed before the attempt was ever made. That's what hurts the most. For 3 years, that play has never been tried with this quarterback. Not once. Not under different leadership. Not in different systems. Not even in desperation. So when the explanation becomes, "It won't work," the response is unavoidable. How do you know? You don't. And when a coach says out loud that he doesn't believe his quarterback can execute the shortest play in football, that message doesn't stop at the press conference. It echoes through the locker room. It settles into every huddle. It lingers in every third and inches situation where confidence matters more than creativity. This isn't about one play. It's about belief. About preparation. About knowing the players you have, and refusing to box them in before they ever get a chance. Because football punishes hesitation. And when doubt leads the call sheet, the entire team feels it. The frustration doesn't stop with one explanation. It deepens when the logic starts folding in on itself. If the quarterback is too small, then why not use that as the advantage? Smaller bodies disappear behind linemen. They slip through gaps. They fall forward before defenders even see where the ball went. That's football reality. And it's worked for decades. Yet instead of testing that truth, the decision is made before the snap ever exists. That's what makes this sting. Because this isn't about failure. It's about fear. The play wasn't removed because it failed. It was removed because it might fail. And when a coach operates that way, the damage spreads far beyond one call. It tells you the quarterback isn't trusted. It tells you the playbook is shrinking. It tells you decisions are being made to survive, not to win. And that's how games slip away. Not with one bad throw. Not with one missed block. But with conservative thinking in moments that demand belief. When shots should be taken, they're avoided. When trust should expand, it contracts. The offense doesn't attack, it tiptoes. That's when the anger really sets in. Because there are answers. Bigger bodies. Veteran experience. Power backs. Pushes from behind. Formations that force the defense to guess. The personnel is there. The options are there. And still, the choice is to do nothing. To stand still. To watch opportunity evaporate. Then the conversation shifts, and somehow, it circles back to the same issue, protection versus advantage. Quarterbacks sliding late. Defenders guessing. Flags flying. Careers put at risk in moments where nobody truly knows what's allowed anymore. A quarterback can threaten a slide, pull it back, and force hesitation. A defender commits momentum, and suddenly he's the villain. It's chaos disguised as safety. When a slide goes wrong, quarterbacks get hurt. When it goes right, defenses get punished. There's no clarity. No fairness. Just confusion. And that confusion keeps tilting the field in one direction. At least when a quarterback dives headfirst, everyone knows the truth instantly. There's no deception. No hesitation. No trap disguised as protection. The play ends where the body lands, not where the official decides the motion started. And that same desire for clarity shows up again in the final debate. A familiar name becomes available. A proven defensive mind. Someone who's been there before. Someone who took units further than expected, even without perfect personnel. Someone who understands structure, accountability, and preparation. The question isn't whether he's flawless. The question is whether he brings belief back into the building. Because teams don't just need talent. They need conviction. They need coaches who trust players, schemes, and moments, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. Some will disagree. Some will say it's time to move on. That's fair. But the desire isn't rooted in nostalgia. It's rooted in one simple thing this team keeps searching for: direction. And until belief replaces hesitation, these conversations will keep happening, after every loss, after every missed inch, after every decision that feels smaller than the moment demands. At some point, frustration stops being loud and starts becoming clear. The conclusion feels unavoidable now. With the personnel on this roster, it's hard to imagine things getting worse on defense. In tight moments, in critical situations, the calls feel uncertain, reactive, not decisive. And that contrast keeps standing out when you think about what competence actually looks like under pressure. Knowing what to call. Knowing when to call it. Knowing who your players are when the game is on the line. That's the difference people are seeing. But in the middle of all that anger, there was a moment, a single snap, that deserves to be remembered. A sidearm throw. Low angle. Defender closing fast. No clean window. And somehow, the ball still found its target. Bryce Young dropped his arm, bent physics just enough, and delivered a pass that was pure instinct and creativity. It was beautiful. The kind of throw that only a handful of quarterbacks even attempt. And yet, it disappeared. If another superstar makes that play, it's replayed all week. Broken down. Praised. Romanticized. But because it came from Bryce, it quietly faded into the background. No spotlight. No celebration. Just another forgotten moment that should have meant more. And that erasure feeds into the bigger problem. Because when you actually look at the game, the blame doesn't line up. The offense barely touched the field. 4 drives through 3 quarters. 4. And they scored on 3 of them. That's efficiency. That's execution. That's doing your job when given the opportunity. So why does the quarterback carry the weight of the loss? Not the defense that surrendered points late. Not the inability to get off the field. Not the crucial moments where stops were needed and never came. Not the strange play calls in inches to go situations. Somehow, it all circles back to Bryce, because the box score didn't look loud enough. But football doesn't work that way. You don't rack up massive yardage when the clock and possession are never yours. You don't force production when momentum is repeatedly handed back to the opponent. And penalties, unnecessary, careless penalties, matter. One mistake on the sideline killed rhythm. Killed field position. Killed flow. Those moments don't show up as interceptions or incompletions, but they change everything. Still, the narrative stays the same. Then the voices come in. Fans breaking down what went wrong. Missed catches. Dropped opportunities. Soft coverage. Poor angles. Confusion on defense. A team that's growing, but not ready. And that's honest. Painfully honest. But expectations don't disappear just because rebuilding is the popular word. The standard was set early. 8 wins minimum. 10 if things broke right. That belief wasn't accidental. It was rooted in potential, in flashes, in moments that proved this team could compete. Being called unrealistic doesn't change that. Being told to lower the bar doesn't erase what's possible. Growth doesn't mean lowering expectations. Growth means meeting them. And that's where things stand now. The path is still there. Control still exists. Nothing is fully lost. But belief has to turn into execution. Trust has to replace hesitation. And accountability has to be shared, not dumped on one player because it's easy. Because when the dust settles, this season won't be remembered for one quote or one play. It'll be remembered for whether this team chose fear, or chose to believe in itself when it mattered most.